The Quiet Roar. In the middle of the golden Zuba forest, under a sun that glowed like a giant drum in the sky, a young lion cub named Leo sat quietly on a smooth rock. Around him, birds chirped, leaves rustled, and the wind danced like music. But Leo didn't make a sound, not even a whisper of a roar. While other lion cubs played by growling and showing off their roars, Leo just smiled nervously and backed away. He had a secret. He was scared of his roar. Long ago, when Leo was just a little cub, he had tried to roar for the first time. The sound had startled his best friend, Zizi the zebra, who dashed off in fear and got lost in the forest for 2 whole nights. Ever since then, Leo had promised himself, no more roaring. "Come on, Leo," called Zizi cheerfully from the riverbank. "Just give it a tiny little meow, that's all." She smiled and flicked her striped tail, trying to cheer him up. Leo gave a small puff of air from his mouth. Pfft! Zizi burst into giggles. Well, that was something. High up in a tree, Naya the owl blinked slowly and whispered to herself, "The forest needs a roar soon. The time is almost here." In the tall grass nearby, a pair of glowing eyes watched. Grizzle, the sly hyena with a coat of patchy gray and a laugh like broken twigs, was listening. "If the lion never roars," he growled softly, "Zuba Forest will be mine." And just like that, the wind seemed to shift. Far away, the ancient drums of Echo, the magical drums that protected Zuba, rumbled once, then went quiet. The drums have fallen silent. That evening, as the animals of Zuba Forest gathered near the great clearing for the full moon ceremony, something strange happened. The ceremony always began with the booming sound of the drums of Echo, echoing from the sacred hill. The drums were not played by any animal. They beat by magic, calling all creatures into harmony. But tonight, there was no sound, not even a thump. The animals looked around, confused. "Where are the drums?" whispered a porcupine. "Maybe they're just late," said a stork, ruffling his wings. Queen Luma, tall and graceful, stepped forward from her rock throne. Her golden fur glowed in the moonlight, but her face looked worried. "The drums of Echo have never been silent," she said. "Something is wrong." Leo stood near his mother, clutching his tail nervously. Zizi nudged him. "Maybe you can roar a little, just to check if it helps." Leo's ears drooped. I can't." Suddenly, a loud cackle echoed through the trees. "Bwah ha ha ha!" From behind a curtain of vines, Grizzle appeared, standing atop a boulder with a crooked grin. In his paw, he held a cracked piece of an ancient drum. "The drums of Echo are mine now," he sneered. "And without them, fear shall rule Zuba. Unless," he looked straight at Leo, "someone dares to roar." Gasps rippled through the clearing. Leo froze. The roar of courage. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. The moon floated above like a silver drum, but he felt empty inside. He walked to the top of a hill and looked over the sleeping forest. "Why can't I roar?" he whispered. Just then, a rustle came from behind. It was Tamu the turtle, carrying a pouch of glowing fire berries. "You're awake too?" Leo asked. Tamu nodded slowly. "Even turtles feel fear, young lion. But we must not let fear freeze us forever." Leo sat beside him. "But what if I roar and hurt someone again? What if I fail?" Tamu smiled gently. "The roar of courage doesn't come from the throat. It comes from the heart." Leo blinked. "But I don't feel brave." "Then start small," said Tamu, handing him a fireberry. "Say something kind. That is the first roar." Leo looked at the berry. "Thank you, Tamu," he said softly. And just like that, the berry glowed brighter. A whisper in the wind. The next morning, strange winds blew through Zuba Forest. Leaves swirled in patterns and trees bent as if whispering secrets. Nia the owl glided silently above the trees, her eyes sharp. She landed beside Queen Luma. The wind tells me that danger is growing. Grizzle plans to awaken the dark hyenas. Only the roar of royal blood can stop them. Queen Luma sighed. Leo must find his roar. But how? Meanwhile, Leo, Zizi, Tamu, and Milo the monkey sat beneath the wishing tree. I heard there's a legend, Milo said, bouncing on a branch. Deep in the misty caverns, there's a lion spirit who teaches the roar of courage. Misty caverns? Leo gulped. That place is scary. Exactly, said Zizi. And if we're going to save the forest, we have to go through fear, not around it. Leo looked at his friends. They were all scared, but they were still ready. I'll do it, he said. Into the misty caverns by dawn. The brave little group stood at the edge of the misty caverns. Fog curled around their paws. Inside, strange glowing vines twisted along the walls. Milo lit a glowing nut. One step at a time, he grinned. They walked into the shadows. Inside, echoes bounced off the walls. Leo's heartbeat sounded like drums in his ears. Suddenly, a growl echoed. But it wasn't Leo. From the shadows leapt a black hyena with red eyes. Grizzle had sent a fearling, a creature made from pure fear. "Run!" yelled Zizi. But Leo stood still. His chest tightened. He closed his eyes and whispered, "No more running." He opened his mouth, and out came, not a roar, but a strong growl, just enough to make the fearling pause. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The spirit of the roaring rock. Deeper inside the misty caverns, the glowing vines began to shimmer blue. The walls widened into a great underground hall, and in the center stood a stone shaped like a lion's head, the roaring rock. "This is it!" Nia whispered from above, flapping down beside the group. "This is where the lion spirit appears." Leo stepped forward, still shaken from facing the fearling. He placed a paw on the stone. Suddenly the air shimmered like heat waves. A warm, golden light spiraled upward, and from it appeared a giant lion made of stars and mist, the ancient spirit of the roaring lineage. "Leo of Zuba," the spirit boomed. "Why do you fear your voice?" Leo bowed his head. "Because when I first roared, I hurt someone I loved." The spirit's eyes softened. "A roar is not meant to harm, but to protect. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to stand tall with fear." Then the spirit touched Leo's chest with a glowing paw. "The roar of courage begins here." Leo closed his eyes. He felt warmth, a flicker, a tiny flame in his heart. When he opened his mouth again, the cavern echoed with a bold, clear half-roar. Not yet full, but powerful enough to shake the walls and make everyone smile. Grizzle's shadow grows back in the dark hollows of Zuba. Grizzle paced furiously in his den of bones. He slammed his paw against the stolen drum of echo. "That cub is growing stronger," he snarled. "He must not reach the second trial." From the shadows, 3 dark hyenas emerged, Grizzle's loyal minions with glowing red marks on their chests. "Go," he ordered. "Bring me the lion cub before he learns to roar, and destroy his friends if you must." The hyenas howled and darted into the night. Meanwhile, Queen Luma stood on the highest rock of the savannah, her eyes scanning the sky. She whispered to the wind, "Stay strong, my son." The Bridge of Echoes. Leo and his friends exited the misty caverns and found themselves in a foggy glade where a narrow old wooden bridge stretched across a deep ravine. Below, the wind howled like wailing drums. "This is the Bridge of Echoes," said Naya. "Only those who speak their truth may cross." Leo took a breath. "Okay, I'll go first." As he stepped onto the bridge, the wind formed into ghostly lion figures. One by one, they whispered, "You are not enough. You'll fail them all." "You're just a scared little cub." Leo trembled. But then he remembered Zizi's words. Go through fear, not around it. He stood tall. "I am scared, but I won't let that stop me." The whispers faded. The wind stilled. The bridge shimmered gold, and Leo crossed. One by one, the others followed, each whispering their truths. Together they made it across. But in the distance, glowing red eyes were watching. At the baobab grove. As they reached a grove of ancient baobab trees, the dark hyenas struck. They leapt from the shadows, 3 against 4. Zizi kicked with her hooves, Milo swung from vines and threw berries, and Tamu pulled into his shell like a boulder. But they were losing. Leo stood frozen until one of the hyenas knocked Zizi to the ground. Something in Leo snapped. He stepped forward, his golden mane blowing in the wind, and let out a roar, not huge, but fierce and focused. Roar! The sound rippled through the grove like thunder. The hyenas paused, then fled, growling. Zizi stood and smiled. Now that's more like it. Leo's legs wobbled. I did it? You sure did, said Tamu. But from a mountaintop far away, Grizzle saw the roars ripple in the clouds. He's awakening. Too fast. A message from the moonflower. That night the friends rested beside a glowing moonflower field, petals shimmering silver in the moonlight. Nia plucked a blossom and whispered, "The moonflowers bloom only when destiny is near." Leo lay on his back, watching the stars. "I didn't know I had that in me," he said. "You always did," Zizi replied, resting her head beside his. Suddenly a soft wind passed over the flowers, and their petals floated up, swirling into a lion-shaped pattern. The flowers whispered, "To awaken the roar fully, seek the voice of the silent mountain." Nia's eyes widened. That's the place where no animal has ever spoken. Leo sat up. Then that's where we go. And so, their next journey began, with starlight to guide them and the fire of courage burning just a little brighter in Leo's heart. The path of silent paw prints. The trail to the silent mountain was quiet, too quiet. No birds chirped, no leaves rustled, even the wind held its breath. "This place gives me the creeps," Milo whispered, hanging upside down from a twisted branch. Zizi walked close to Leo. "Maybe that's the point. If it's called Silent Mountain—" Tamu paused, placing a flipper on an old stone carved with paw prints. These prints belong to lions of the past. They came here long ago to listen, not speak. As they walked up the winding trail, they noticed a strange feeling. Every time someone made a sound, the air around them shimmered like glass. "Maybe we're supposed to listen here," Nia suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. Leo tried. He closed his mouth, calmed his breath, and simply listened. He heard his heartbeat, the footfalls of his friends, even the hum of a distant breeze under the ground. And then a whisper, not with ears, but in his mind. "Your roar is not a weapon. It's a gift, but only when shared." Leo opened his eyes, filled with wonder. "I heard something." And far above, the peak of Silent Mountain glowed faintly in response. Grizzle's trap. Meanwhile, Grizzle had grown more furious. His magic could sense Leo's strength rising like a wave. "We'll stop him before he reaches the top," Grizzle growled to the dark hyenas. He laid a trap with illusions, twisting the forest trail and making it loop endlessly. As the friends climbed the mountain, they found themselves walking in circles. Trees bent the wrong way, and rocks moved. Time twisted. "I think we've passed that bent tree 5 times, Milo groaned. "It's a magic loop," said Nia. "Grizzle must be trying to confuse us." "How do we break it?" Zizi asked. Leo sat down and shut his eyes. "We don't fight it. We feel through it." He followed his heartbeat, trusting the rhythm from Silent Mountain. And when he took a bold step forward, the illusion shattered like glass. They were free. Grizzle, watching through his crystal vine, snarled. Clever cub, but not clever enough. The Guardian of Stillness. At the summit of Silent Mountain, a pool of silver water lay still beneath a sky so clear you could see the stars in daylight. From the pool rose a large white lioness made of clouds and stars, the Guardian of Stillness. She looked at Leo with glowing eyes. "Why do you climb in silence?" "To find my roar," Leo said, stepping forward. "You already have it. But to unlock its true strength, you must pass the trial of stillness. You must face the roar of another." The Guardian roared, and the force shook the clouds, bent trees, and even pushed Zizi and Milo back. Leo didn't flinch. He closed his eyes and remembered every reason to be brave. Zizi, his mother, his friends, Zuba Forest. And then he roared back. Not just a growl, not just a shout, but a full, golden roar that lit the mountain with swirling magic and sent waves of strength across the land. The roar reborn. The moment Leo finished roaring, the mountain shook gently, and the silver pool turned gold. The Guardian smiled. "You have awakened your roar, not for power, but for purpose." Leo felt stronger, lighter, like the roar had been inside him all along, just waiting to be believed in. "Now," the Guardian said, "return to the forest. Grizzle's darkness grows. Only your roar can awaken the drums of echo." Before disappearing into the mist, the Guardian gave Leo a glowing stone carved with a lion's eye. "It will guide you." As the team descended the mountain, the winds carried Leo's roar across Zuba Forest, reaching Queen Luma, the animals, and even Grizzle himself. Grizzle's fur bristled. "So the cub has found his roar," he growled. "Then let him try to use it." The Broken Heart Tree. On their way back through the forest, the friends passed a mysterious tree with a heart-shaped trunk cracked down the center. "This is the Tree of Broken Hearts," said Nia. "Legend says only those with true courage can heal it." Leo touched the bark, and a memory flashed. His first roar, Zizi running away, the shame that followed. He stepped back. "I hurt her. What if I hurt her again?" Zizi stepped forward and gently touched her nose to his. "You didn't hurt me," she said softly. "You were just learning." With those words, the crack in the tree glowed, then vanished. Flowers bloomed on the branches. The friends looked at each other. If Leo could heal the Broken Heart Tree, then maybe, just maybe, he could heal the whole forest too. The Firefly Festival. As Leo and his friends returned to the valley, they stumbled upon something magical. The Firefly Festival had begun. Thousands of glowing fireflies floated through the air like drifting stars. The animals of Zuba danced, sang, and played music to celebrate light, courage, and unity. The moment Leo stepped into the clearing, the fireflies swirled around him, glowing brighter than ever. "Look! They sense the roar of courage," gasped Tamu. The animals gathered around. Leo looked nervous. "They're waiting," Nia whispered. "They want to." "Hear your roar." Leo took a deep breath and gave a confident, joyful roar. Not too loud, not too wild, just right. The fireflies responded by forming a giant lion shape in the air. The animals cheered. Leo smiled. But far away, Grizzle saw the lights and whispered, "Enjoy your party, little lion. The darkness is coming." The shadow seeds. That night, Grizzle planted his plan. With his dark hyenas, he spread enchanted shadow seeds across the forest. These seeds grew into twisted vines that whispered lies and fears into animals' ears. "You're not special," one whispered to a gazelle. "You can't trust your friends," another hissed to a parrot. The forest began to darken with worry. Zizi noticed a monkey arguing with a squirrel. "That's not like them." Tamu found a bush shaking with scared lizards. "We need to stop the shadow seeds," Leo said, "before they reach the drums of echo." Nia nodded. Only the light of truth can destroy them. They had to gather animals, spread the truth, and awaken belief. Their mission had begun. The Truth Parade. The friends came up with a plan. "We'll march through the forest and remind the animals who they are," said Milo. "A parade of truth." They built colorful floats from banana leaves, drums from hollow logs, and masks painted with animal symbols. As they marched, Leo roared softly, and Zizi chanted brave words. "You are more than your fear. You are not alone. You are part of Zuba." Animals began to follow. One by one, they stepped away from the shadow vines. By the end of the day, the parade stretched through the forest, and laughter returned. But the deepest shadows still waited. The fall of the monkey tree. That night, disaster struck. One of the ancient monkey trees, a massive tree where generations of monkeys lived, was caught in a web of shadow vines. Milo raced up the trunk trying to save his little cousins. "Too many vines," he cried. Leo looked up. The tree creaked. "Roar!" He let out a mighty roar that shook the vines loose. Light burst from his necklace. The vines shriveled. The tree held firm. Milo hugged Leo tightly. "You're not just brave, you're family now." And above them, the stars twinkled like tiny drums, waiting. The road to Echo Hill. At sunrise, the friends looked to the horizon. There, far away, a hill shimmered in golden mist. Echo Hill, the resting place of the ancient drums. "It's time," Nia said. "Time to take back what was stolen." They packed food, sharpened their courage, and began the final march. But Grizzle wasn't finished. He stood atop Echo Hill, wrapping the drums of Echo in shadowy chains. "Come, little lion," he hissed. "Let's see if your roar can break this." Leo narrowed his eyes. He doesn't know what we've become. And step by step, they moved forward. Together. Storm over Echo Hill. As Leo and his friends neared Echo Hill, dark clouds churned above it like a pot of boiling fear. Lightning zigzagged across the sky, and the wind howled with voices that didn't sound like animals at all. "It's Grizzle's storm," Nia said, eyes narrowed. "A storm made of fear itself." Suddenly the rain began to fall, not water, but cold drops of shadow. Wherever it touched the ground, flowers wilted. Animals ran. Leo felt fear rising in his chest again. "I have to roar," he said. "I can't wait anymore." He stepped forward and unleashed a mighty sound, but the storm swallowed it like a hungry ghost. Zizi pulled him back. "Not here," she said. "Not yet. The storm is feeding on fear. We need a plan." The team sheltered under a large fig tree as the storm raged on. They needed light. They needed unity. And Leo needed to roar louder than the storm itself. The Hidden Song. As the storm passed, the group stumbled upon an old cave carved into the hillside. Inside, they found ancient instruments, drums, flutes, and a large curved horn. Tamu wiped the dust off a wall and revealed a carving of lions and animals playing music together. "This must be the song of Zuba," Nia said. "The melody that once protected the forest." Zizi tapped a rhythm. Milo added, "A beat with 2 coconuts." Tamu tapped his shell. Leo hesitated. Then he growled a bass hum, soft but full of rhythm. Their song echoed, and slowly a warmth filled the cave. The shadows thinned. Flowers outside began to rise again. The forest doesn't just need a roar, Leo realized. It needs a song. And so the team practiced, learning the melody that would awaken the ancient drums. Grizzle's Challenge. Just as they emerged from the cave, Grizzle stood waiting. He wore a necklace of shadow stones, and behind him stood his dark hyenas and the stolen drums of Echo, wrapped in thick vines. "Well done, little lion," he sneered, "but your roar won't save you now." Leo stood tall. "I don't stand alone," Grizzle snarled. "Then let's make this fun. A challenge. If you can defeat my beasts and awaken the drums, the forest is yours. Fail, and I rule Zuba forever." The animals of the forest slowly gathered, watching from the edges. Zizi whispered, "We can do this." Leo stepped forward. Challenge accepted. The Battle of Echo Hill. The sky crackled as Grizzle launched his attack. Dark hyenas swarmed. Shadow vines shot from the ground. But the forest animals rose too. Elephants stomped. Birds swooped. Monkeys flung fruit. Zizi kicked. Tamu spun like a boulder, and Milo whacked vines with a stick. Leo stood near the drums, glowing stone in paw. He roared. This time it wasn't swallowed. The roar struck the drums, and they thundered to life. Boom! 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 Light burst across the hill. The shadow vines burned away. The hyenas howled and fled. Grizzle screamed, "No!" But it was too late. Echo Hill was alive again. The rise of the forest. The next morning, Zuba Forest was full of music. The drums of Echo boomed softly in rhythm with the breeze. Animals danced, vines blossomed, shadows faded. Leo stood at the top of Echo Hill, his friends beside him. Queen Luma approached, her eyes shining. "You've done it, my son," she said. "You found your roar, and used it to unite." "Not command," Zizi nuzzled Leo's mane. "So, what now, King Leo?" Leo blushed. "I'm not a king," but the forest thought otherwise. And as the sun rose, golden and bright, Leo lifted his head and gave one last powerful, joyful roar. And the forest roared back, the lion who could sing. The drums of Echo pulsed gently across the land, restoring balance. The animals began calling Leo not just the roaring cub, but also the lion who could sing. "You started something," said Tamu. "You showed the forest its true voice." Milo made a crown from banana leaves and popped it on Leo's head. "Leo, the Lion King of Rhythm!" Leo laughed. "I'm no king. I just wanted to help." But Nia looked thoughtful. "Perhaps your roar wasn't just for saving the forest. Perhaps it's for leading it forward." That night, as stars twinkled, Leo sat beside Zizi. "Do you think things will go back to how they were?" he asked. Zizi nudged him gently. "I hope not. I like this new Leo." He smiled. The roar had changed him, but he didn't know yet. It had changed the forest, too. The cave that listened back. A week after the battle, Nia guided the group to a quiet canyon. "There's one last place the roar must visit," she said. "The cave that listens back." Inside, smooth stone walls shimmered like mirrors. Every sound echoed, not once but twice, once from the cave and once from inside the speaker. Leo stepped in and whispered, "Hello?" "Hello," the cave echoed. Then, in a softer tone, "I'm proud of you." He blinked. "Was that me?" The others tried too. Milo's echo told him to slow down. Zizi told her to believe more in herself. Tamu said, "You're stronger than you look." Leo realized this cave reflected your truth, not your words. He roared softly. The cave answered, "Now your voice matches your heart." Leo left the cave with tears in his eyes and a heart full of clarity. Grizzle's lair. Even though Grizzle had fled, Leo knew the story wasn't over. He gathered Zizi, Nia, Tamu, and Milo. "We have to finish what we started. We have to find Grizzle." Following hyena tracks, they reached a thorny gulch where shadows clung to stone like smoke. Deep in the center was Grizzle's lair, a cave carved like a twisted snarl. Inside, glowing crystals pulsed with dark magic. Grizzle sat slumped on a cracked throne made of bones and vines. "I know you're there, cub," he growled. Leo stepped into the light. "The forest is healing. It's time for you to let go." Grizzle laughed bitterly. "What would you know about power?" "I know that real power doesn't come from fear," Leo said. "It comes from trust, from friends, from truth. And without roaring, Leo's words echoed like thunder. Grizzle's story. Grizzle stepped into the light. For the first time, the group saw him fully, not just the villain, but a creature worn by time. "I once had a roar, too," Grizzle muttered. "Long ago. But no one listened. Not the lions. Not the elders. So I turned to shadows." He pulled a small bone flute from under his fur. "This was my only voice for years." Leo sat beside him. "That must have been hard." Grizzle blinked. "You're not afraid of me?" "I was," Leo said honestly. "But now I see you're more than your roar." A single tear rolled down Grizzle's cheek. For a moment, the shadows in the cave dimmed. Zizi leaned over to whisper, "He just needed someone to hear him." The Pact of the Roars back at Echo Hill, Leo invited Grizzle to speak before the animals. "I know many of you fear me," Grizzle said, "and I've done wrong. But fear took my voice, and I want to find it again. The right way." There was silence, then a soft clap, then another. Soon the forest roared, not in fear, but in forgiveness. Leo stepped forward with a beaded necklace in his paw. "It's time we honored all roars," he said, placing it around Grizzle's neck, "even the ones that were once lost." From that day on, the drums of Echo played not just for lions, but for every voice brave enough to speak. And Leo, he became not just the lion who roared, but the lion who listened.